and welcome to Kick Conflict to the Curb, the place that leaders and growth-minded individuals come to gain wisdom from some of the world's best experts in conflict resolution. I'm your host, Joyce Weiss, communication coach and facilitator. And I work with leaders who want to create a culture where employees feel heard and not silenced, which drives greater engagement, retention, and productivity. Well, I have two important questions for you. Are you tired, actually sick and tired of pushy salespeople wanting to buy their services or products? I know I am. And do you want to discover an easy formula to make your sales conversations enjoyable for both you and your prospects? Well, I'm excited to learn from today's guest, who is a powerhouse in working with non-salespeople to reduce conflict during the sales conversations. I'd like to introduce you to today's guest. Jane Garee, known as the sales strategist for the non-salesperson, works with digital entrepreneurs so they never have to choose between income and adventure. After over 30 years of adventuring and working successfully on the road, she co-founded Wander the Seven and now passionately teaches sales strategies for travel-obsessed business owners so they can travel as much as they want while still running their business effectively from anywhere in the world. Here's a fun fact about Jane. She's been to 47 countries and 48 states. She's a spa junkie, and every time Jane travels, she finds a spa to go to. She has a secret life of being an aspiring historical fiction novelist. Welcome to the show, Jane.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh my God, I want your life.
Well, sometimes it is a little glamorous, and mostly what it is just a lot of grit going on behind the scenes to get those few moments of glam. But thank you.
Oh yeah, well, so maybe we should talk about self-care, because being a spa junkie to me, it's not a luxury anymore to take care of ourselves, and you're a role model for that. So I'm going to jump right into this because full disclosure here, viewers and listeners, Jane Garee is my coach, and she's helped me to make sure that my sales approach is less stressful and more fun. So I've got some questions. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm really ready.
Good, really ready. Okay. So what are the 3 myths of selling that keep business owners believing that sales is this unfortunate thing that we have to do?
Oh, yes, it's the worst when you feel like that. I have to go sell and I have to be a salesperson, which starts feeling yucky or stressful or whatever. So there are 3 myths, as I have come to learn and have now created, so it's easily explainable to other people. So myth number 1 is that you always have to be closing. And we've heard this before. Remember your ABCs, always be closing, coffee's for closers. So if you think about usually when salespeople are represented, it's in this way that makes them seem like they got to close the deal no matter what. And if they have to run people over and do things that aren't quite above board, not a problem, because you always have to be closing. And nothing could be further from the truth. So if anyone has ever felt that pressure where you always feel like you have to be closing, I'm going to twist this up for you today, and we're going to dispel that myth. And so here's your new reality. You always need to be opening. You always need to be opening. Because when you open a safe space for someone to speak and share what it is that they're truly feeling, and when you open a dialogue and you open the beginning of, it's really kind of a sacred relationship, that is what creates an environment where you can have an effective and efficient sales conversation, which may or may not mean that somebody says yes to working with you. So that's a topic I could train on for hours, but myth today that we want to dispel is that you always have to be closing, and instead we're going to switch that to always be opening.
So number one, I've never heard that before. But you've taught me, but I either didn't hear, which trust me, I did what I could to listen to Jane Garee during our time of when she coaches me. Yesterday, let me tell you what happened. I went to a prospect meeting in Detroit, and I already was told behind the scenes that I was going to get hired because the CEO knows me, and he had his project managers come in. And I kept on saying to myself, whether I get the gig or not, Joyce, listen, pay attention, and don't oversell. Because I know that's what I used to do before we met, and it worked. I got these people in my hand, and not because I was brilliant, it's because I shut up. And you and I talked about this in the blue and red room. There's no green room here, is the curiosity questions. So I love that first myth. So first myth. I love that. Thank you. What's the second one?
Yeah, well, you kind of alluded to it in that little story, which is over talking. And I'm going to take it even a little bit more nuanced. So myth number 2 is believing that you have to be really, really good at explaining what it is that you do. This is not true. Nobody really cares how the intended and anticipated ending comes about, provided, it's ethical, it's moral, we're not doing crazy things that are illegal. But it's not really the how that matters to people, which is why you don't have to be really good at explaining what it is that you do, which is essentially you're just describing how it happens. We're going to meet, it's for X amount of time, Mondays are for this, you'll go to this. Nobody cares about that. What you need to do is get really good at explaining what will happen for them as a result of working with you. So the myth is I got to be really good at explaining what it is that I do. And we're dispelling that myth. And so your new reality is I need to be really good at explaining what results somebody will experience if they work with me.
And that happened yesterday also. Because of our work together, I kept on saying I gave them a bio. I gave everybody a bio and all my facilitation topics. And I said, here, when I leave, you can find out more. But all I did, and it was organic. And this is what one of the project managers said, let's have just an organic conversation. Not what you can do, but how is this going to work for us? So that is also a myth that you helped me break. So I'm a perfect example of myth number 1 and 2, that I don't do that. So what's the third one, Jane Garee?
So the third myth is believing that everybody gets an offer. And this creates a lot of stress. All these myths create a lot of stress and pressure on you, which your potential client also feels when you are in any one of these myth beliefs. So the third myth is that everyone gets an offer. And this is wrong, because this would be the same thing as offering to sell somebody ice cream when they're lactose intolerant, or they just hate ice cream, or they don't eat dessert at all. So can you imagine what it would feel like if I were lactose intolerant, never ate sugar, and didn't like ice cream, which all 3 of those things are false, but you're pressuring me, you're talking to me about, but this is the world's best ice cream and you got to buy it, you got to eat it, and you're going to love it, and imagine yourself eating it on the boardwalk. And I'm thinking, absolutely not, because it's an inappropriate offer for me as a potential client. So the myth is that everybody gets an offer. We're going to dispel the myth. Your new reality is only a right fit client who you would actually enjoy working with gets an offer. Otherwise, you are creating a situation that's going to have some conflict pretty quickly.
And you're going to have the conflict because not you, Jane, the person who doesn't understand that we're not going to get an offer all the time, because every client isn't right for us. And I actually say, and I want your opinion, I actually, during that initial conversation, I usually bring up, I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for you, and
Mhm.
vice versa. And
Right.
in my head, Jane, I can't get this out. And I love that I have it there. Even if I don't get the offer, at least if it's a good conversation where they feel heard and understood, they may know somebody who could use my services. Yes or no?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
the third myth, it just kicks us back up to the first myth, because if the third myth is not everybody gets an offer, so you're going to be selective about making an offer. If you don't do that and you're still thinking, well, everybody gets the offer, I need to make my pitch, I need to, I need to try to sell them, you're
Mhm.
back up to myth number one, which is falsely always be closing. And so what happens is, I describe it as, you either have lean in energy or back away, lean back energy, and so do your prospects, so to your potential clients. So if I'm leaning in with, I always have to be closing, I need to make really sure that I'm great at explaining what I do, and this person has to get an offer because everybody has to get an offer, and it's just, then I'm leaning in, and as a result, you're actually leaning back. But if I lean back in complete genuineness, because I do not know you, I do not
Mhm.
know if you have a problem that I can solve, and I don't know if I'm the best person to solve the problem. So wouldn't it be judicious and wise for me to sit back and go, let me ask you some questions here, because we
Yes.
need to make sure that we can actually work together and that we're a good fit for each other, which is an entirely different selling stance than, let me lean in and tell you why you have to pick me and choose me and hire me and you got to do it now and all that crazy stuff that starts happening. So the three myths, they support each other in a very negative way. So if you're in any one of them, it's just bolstering your ability, I would call it, which is really the disability, to keep in the other two, and that's how they work together. It's like the negative, negative triage or something like that. So any one of the myths, you want to bounce out of those, because you'll have a much cleaner, much more effective, and a more fun sales process and conversation.
And I just hope that leaders are watching this, or if your leader is not, when the when this live broadcast is finished, either go to Jane's feed or mine and share it with them, because sometimes we're not, salespeople are trained by the old way. Matter of fact, we're going to take a quick break, and don't go away. We're going to come back with more from Jane Garee, and I'm going to ask you, what do you wish everybody knew when it comes to selling and sales? That is, if we didn't already answer. So don't go away. Are you a department leader with an employee who is a valuable team member but struggles with effective communication, resulting in either bullying others or shutting down, making conflict resolution impossible? I'm Joyce Weiss, communication coach and facilitator. If you are currently experiencing this, I partner with you or work directly with your challenging employees to improve their communication skills. As a result, the team no longer fears bullying or uncomfortable silence, and company morale will improve. If you and I work together, your conflict resolution skills will soar, allowing you to address these issues confidently in the future. If this sounds good, email me, Joyce@joyceweiss.com, to schedule a complimentary Jam with Joyce session to see if private coaching sessions are right for you or your team members. So, welcome back to Kick Conflict to the Curb. I'm your host, Joyce Weiss, and I have the privilege of speaking with my coach, Jane Garee. So, Jane, sales strategist for the non-salesperson. What do you wish that everybody knew when it comes to sales and selling?
This is really my heart. I'm so passionate about all things sales and selling, because this is what I wish everybody knew, which is what I firmly believe. Sales, selling, it's a noble profession. And the reason why I believe it's a noble profession is it really does change the world. How does it change the world? Well, it changes the world one person at a time, through one conversation at a time. So when you have a sales conversation and somebody realizes that there is a solution to their problem and they are ready to step up and into that solution and they choose you, they're going to get the help they need, the support, the guidance, the accountability, all of it. And that is going to benefit them. It's going to make their life and or their business better. And when you have somebody who has a life and or business that has been improved, guess what happens? There's a ripple effect because they're happier and they're more effective. And now they have time to do things maybe they didn't before, or they're making money where they wouldn't, or they're having great relationships where before it was a struggle, or they're no longer having conflict. Whatever solution you have provided for them, it's because they have said yes to your offer, which is just a long-winded way of saying you sold them something and they said, yeah, let's do it. So sales is a noble profession. It really changes the world one person at a time, one conversation at a time.
Oh, it is a noble profession when it's done right. And I hate to sound so black and white here, but there's a wrong, which we've already talked about with the myths, the wrong way of selling. And to me, one of the most important things that you just said in this portion with that question is that you are changing your clients from where they were to where they want to be. And they're going to thank you for it. They're not going to look at it as sales, and they're going to refer because they can't stop saying, oh my God, I can't believe that I now have, the engagement has gone up, or the productivity, or how about the ROI? So I love that answer. Now, I'm curious. Is that a good way to start a question? I'm curious, Jane, how is selling different than it was even a year ago?
Yeah, that's a huge question, and it's a hugely important question. So selling has changed quite a bit in just even the last 6-12 months, but you look back 3 months and see how it's changed. Now, like most things, the fundamentals, those don't change. So the fundamentals of selling, they're the same, and you can continue to utilize those and make sure that you implement those and use it as a foundation. So your fundamentals are your foundation. Those are static. They don't change, nor really should they, because at the base of that is really just cultivating a relationship with somebody and having an effective conversation so both of you can arrive at a decision together and in partnership. But specifically, how things have changed in the market over the last year is we are two things. Number one, there is so much noise going on. It's driving us all crazy. If I have to listen to one more thing, beep, beep, bing, bong, chirp, whirl, it's that constant, or no matter where you are, something's going off, letting me know somebody needs to get a hold of me, or I need to go pay attention to something, or I need to contact somebody. So it's very overwhelming, really, what our world is asking and requiring us in a large part to do every day. So the first thing that has made sales change or be different is just the onslaught of everything that we now have to deal with and pay attention to on a daily basis. The second thing that has made sales change is that we truly are at a deficit in the trust economy. So those two things together, which is I am overwhelmed with incoming information, and I'm more skeptical than I have been. You're more skeptical. We're all a little bit more skeptical because of the deficit in this trust economy. This has changed sales. So the market in general has become savvier. They've become more educated. They've become faster in their ability to find information. And for some people, they become faster at implementing the information. So why do they need you? And that's a question that all of us are asking, not just with a particular service, but I think in all of our goods and all of our services, just in everyday life. It's, why do I need you? If I can go get the information on my own, if I know that I'm an implementer, if I know that it's going to cost me in time, but I don't necessarily have to invest in dollars, then do I really need you? Now, layer in, I'm overwhelmed with information, and I'm a little more skeptical than I may have been in the past with everything. Then you got to think there's got to be a different way to actually approach sales than it has been in the past.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I'm so, like I said in the intro, are you sick and tired of pushy salespeople? Well, you brought up trust. The minute the first email that I receive, and I know you get them probably more than I do, and viewers, I know without me sounding like a bogus, egotistical person, but I know you get these emails. Hey, let's connect. I do this and this. And I noticed that your homepage isn't having the SEO, blah, blah, blah. I immediately delete that connection request
Yeah.
because there's no trust. And that to me, I'm seeing that. And the good news for me is I'm getting rid of all those people. This may sound mean, but I have a life too. And I want to work with people who I trust. And let's mirror that. Do your prospects trust you? This is a mirror. I mean, okay. Do they trust you? And that's huge. So I thank you. I thank you for that. Did you want to say anything about that, or did we cover that?
Yeah, you know, what
Okay.
what used to be true and effective, frankly, was a lot of the hyper exaggerated marketing. Make $11 billion in 30 days, sit on the beach and
Mhm.
only work 3 hours a week. You know, all of these kind of inflated promises. And what was never discussed was what is actually happening behind the scenes that would even begin to allow this to happen. So, for example, there are certainly people who make $11 billion, but they've been at it for 10 or 15 years.
Sure.
I don't know if 11 billion, that might be, there are plenty of people making
Mhm.
a lot of money, but they've put in the time, they've put in the work, they've put in the effort, they've had some fall downs, they've had some fails, but marketing copy would read like they just snapped out of the gate and figured out in 30 days or less how they could make $1 million. And you can too, today and today
Mhm.
only. So that whole kind of marketing position that we have become accustomed to, we've now realized that there are parts of it that are missing. We're only getting part of the picture. Some of the stats may be true, but we don't really know what happened behind the scenes to make all of that true. So it's not a slam on that kind of marketing, maybe a little bit, because you can't do that anymore. The market is skeptical, the market is jaded, the market is more educated, they're more sophisticated, so they're not going to buy these big promises when they don't understand who you are and your expertise and the longevity of your experience and all. It's almost like your backstory creates credibility and trust, so that somebody knows if I'm reading something, if I'm reading marketing copy and it's telling me this,
Mhm.
what kind of sense do I have that this is really possible for me? So the first thing is to make sure that you're not providing this amped up kind of marketing or promises, because it's not going to work anymore. The second thing is you do really need to make sure that you're explaining to people why they would be better working with you. This is goods or services. But you also need to make sure that you are giving them the information and a reality check of what it isn't, which is this is not a cure-all for every single symptom you have. So becoming amazing at sales isn't going to solve all your business problems, because I have no idea what's going on in the background with your technology and your operations and your team, or lack of, or your discipline or your work ethic, or I could keep going. So sales, it will fundamentally change your business. Absolutely. And it's the difference between being profitable or not. I should more accurately say making money or not.
Yes.
There
Yes.
you go. That's a perfect example. I can't promise profitability. I don't know what your expenses are. So I
Mhm.
can show you how to generate revenue, so that I can promise, but only if you do the work. But I certainly can't guarantee profitability because I have no control over all of these other things that are happening. So experience counts, the longevity of your expertise counts, the way that you're positioning things, which is absolutely be excited and be proud of this is what can happen for you if and when we work together, and stand by that promise, make sure that it's true. And just remember, you don't have to hype it up, and give people a reality check. This is the first step
Yes.
towards solving your problem, but it's not going to solve all of the problems in your life. And it's going to require work and discipline and all of the things that any success requires.
You're just saying be realistic, folks. So,
Yeah.
well, listen, I can't believe it. But I mean, I have at least four more questions for you. Could you come back, please, so we can continue this conversation?
Absolutely.
And I am going to put on your contact information. Would you let people know, just in case they're listening and not watching, how to reach you and what you could do for them?
Yeah. So if you want to follow me on social, engage on social, you can find me on Facebook, Jane Garee, and last name is spelled Garee. I'm the only one. My picture is there. So if you find anything that's not, it's some fraudulent account, but you can definitely find me on that. I'm very active on Facebook in particular, and I love interacting with people in general, and especially on the Facebook community. You can also email me at jane@wanderthe7.com. The 7 is a number, not spelled out. jane@wanderthe7.com. Those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me.
Great. And do you have, because I believe you said that you have some kind of an offer for people?
I have a free resource, actually.
Could you please tell us about your free resource?
Yep. So this is an ebook that I wrote, and the idea that really spurred it was the 3 myths. So I knew that those were the top 3 myths based on my 30 plus years of experience on a selling floor, in a selling seat at any given time, training salespeople, teams, all of it when I was back in corporate. So the premise was the 3 myths. But then what I really discovered over the decades of working with people is that there are 7 things in particular that really tend to stress people out when they are in the seat of a salesperson. So that might be your team. So this would be a great resource if you have a sales team. But if you are acting as your own salesperson, as the business owner, then this is definitely a great resource for you. So it's called Unlocking Effortless Sales, Mastering 7 Stressors to Confidently Win Clients and Create Cash Flow in Your Business. These are the 7 things that when you read them, you're going to go, oh, where was this book when I needed it? 10, 5, 15.
I want it. How does one get this? Because I am one. How does one get it?
So I can provide a link, and we can put that in with the show notes so everybody can just go there and grab it. Or you can email me directly or hit me up on Facebook in a DM and just say, I saw you on Joyce's show. Can I have the free ebook resource? And I will get it to you.
Great. And then when I post something tomorrow, I'm going to thank you, Jane. Warning, I'm going to thank you. You could even post it in there too. So, well, listen, I want to thank you so much. This went just so quickly. I knew it would. I appreciate your brain. We rented your brain for about 30 minutes, and there's more to come. So thank you so much for being a stellar guest.
Yeah, my pleasure. You know, I love talking about this stuff, sales and selling.
Thank you. Well, I sure hope that you enjoyed learning from Jane Garee as much as I did. And please reach out to her. You see how approachable she is, and get that book. I cannot wait to get that. Actually, right when I finish this live broadcast, I'm going to go there. And if you'd like to dive deeper into taking your communication and conflict resolution skills to the next level, I'd love to hear from you. Whether you're experiencing challenges at work, not feeling heard or dealing with a bully, or you simply want to feel more confident during tough conversations and you don't stay quiet and don't say anything, I invite you to send me an email at, it would help if I get right there, Joyce@joyceweiss.com. And we could set up a complimentary Jam with Joyce session, just to see if we can work together. And mainly during that session is to come up with a strategy or 2 that you can work and you could put to use immediately. And please connect with me on LinkedIn, on YouTube. There's the information. And I'm going to end this broadcast with something that I do every single time that I either write something or in my videos. You get what you tolerate. Will it be calm or chaos? So I want to thank all my viewers and all the people that watch the show even afterward. Keep your comments coming. And until next time, I'm Joyce Weiss, and let's go kick conflict to the curb together.